It is a Tuesday afternoon here on YouTube. I am the Solomonster, and thank you so much for joining me here for a very special watch-along. This is the 30th anniversary watch-along for the 1993 WWF King of the Ring. It was 30 years ago today that the very first King of the Ring pay-per-view aired, and really it was a one-man show. It was the Bret Hart show that night because, of course, he was the star of the tournament on that particular night. And what we're doing here today is we're keeping it to the Bret Hart tournament matches. So we're not going to be watching the entire pay-per-view or the entire tournament, but we are going to keep it to the three matches that Bret had, plus the coronation ceremony that followed the main event, which, of course, was the kickoff to the long rivalry, the years-long rivalry between Bret Hart and Jerry the King Lawler. So thank you for carving out some time here on your Tuesday afternoon to hang out with me. Subscribe, super chats are open. The chat is members only. So it's open to everybody, but if you are not a channel member, that is one of the perks that you have when it comes to these watch-alongs. We can all hang out and interact together in the live chat. Now, what I have done is I have pinned the code in the live chat where we are going to be starting on Peacock. So as I get things together here, you guys can go ahead and get yourself all set. If you go on Peacock, it's a kind of a pain in the ass because I couldn't find King of the Ring just by navigating the premium live event section. So I had to go to the search bar and I had to actually type in King of the Ring, and then it came up. But you're looking for Season 1, Episode 1, because on Peacock, that's how they have everything classified. Everything's by season. So it would be Season 1, Episode 1, King of the Ring, 1993. We're going to be starting out here in a couple of minutes from the 1-minute, 42-second mark. So really right after, at the tail end of the introduction, you're going to see Jim Ross and Randy Savage and Bobby Heenan. They're all standing at ringside, getting ready to introduce the first match. 1 minute, 42 seconds into the show, right as Jim Ross is about to start speaking again, that's where we're going to be kicking things off. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes here to go find the show. I know it can be confusing. Yes, Peacock sucks, but what are you going to do? It is what it is. So go ahead and go find that while you guys get situated. What we do here usually at the beginning of these things is just give a little bit of background. I can tell you, one of the reasons I was excited to do this, and I thought about doing this, besides the fact that it's the 30th anniversary, the last time I was with you was in January. We did a 30th anniversary Monday Night Raw watch-along for the very first episode of Raw. But this is one of my all-time favorite pay-per-views. I've always had a very special place in my heart for this King of the Ring pay-per-view, just everything about it. And I'm not sitting here and telling you that it's, from a quality standpoint, it's even the best WWE pay-per-view of all time. It's not. And there was stuff on the show that was not all that great. But this show has always been very special to me. And to show you, and this is cool, I had completely forgotten that I had this, but I recorded a quick video and I said, you know, I'll share it with all of you. At the time, I obviously was on some kind of a mailing list for WWF at the time. And they had sent something, they sent a mailer to my house about the pay-per-view. It was the first time they were doing a King of the Ring show. They wanted you to call your cable company, order the show. And in the mailer, they had a tournament bracket that you can fill out. So it's not unlike going to a baseball game or something. You got your scorecard and you can fill out the scorecard. It was something very similar for the King of the Ring. And so this video here it is. This is the mailer that I got in the mail in 1993. I'm going to open this thing up for you here. So there's the plug for the WWF hotline. Get your parents' permission. We're going to flip this thing around here, and you'll see there was a sweepstakes form. You can win, look at this, limousine transport, free front row tickets to Monday Night Raw. I didn't care about that. Here's the scorecard for the King of the Ring. There's the tournament bracket. There's my old Solomonster handwriting from 1993. Filling the whole thing out. Of course, there is the main event for the WWF Championship, Hulk Hogan against Yokozuna. But there it is, you know, and I had some good fun filling that out. That's a blast from the past. I had totally forgotten I still had that. It's one of those little artifacts that you can't find anywhere else. Yes, that is old school. That is most definitely old school. So I was all about the King of the Ring. And to me, with this show, it was a weird mix of the end of the Hogan era, followed by that era that ushered in stars like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. It was the end of the golden era in a lot of ways. And the guys like Hogan and DiBiase and Mr. Perfect, it was the end of that era, and it was the start of the new generation era. Not officially, they didn't start calling it that until the following year, but it's kind of got that blend of the two. You could feel that there was a changing of the guard going on. You could feel Hogan was at the end of his rope. He was on his way out, at least in WWE. Obviously, he got a new lease on life as a heel in WCW many years later. But it just felt like the whole Hulkamania thing was played out. And Bret was very, very popular. And they kind of like two ships passing in the night. They could have worked together. They should have worked together, and they didn't. But this pay-per-view, really, it's a one-man show. This was the Bret Hart show. He worked 3 matches that night, all on a bad ankle that he had suffered the night before, working a 30-minute match with Bob Backlund at Madison Square Garden. Then he traveled the 600 miles to Dayton, Ohio, to work another 45-plus minutes here in this tournament. But I love the entire tournament. Honestly, people have asked me, what would you change about it? What would be the one thing, if you could, that you would change? I saw Conrad Thompson had a similar thread up about that recently. I would not change anything. I would not change anything about it. I would have loved to have seen Bret and Perfect have their match in the finals, and not the semifinals. I think that would have been cool. I understand, though, why they did it the way that they did. They were telling a story with Bret that night. And in order for that story to work, it had to go the way that it did. It had to go with, the physically bigger monster and Bam Bam Bigelow getting a bye and, being fresh heading into that final match. And Bret had to run the gauntlet here. He had to struggle. He had to fight. He got beat up. His fingers got broken or bent or whatever it was. So there was a very specific story they were telling. It had to be like that. Honestly, one of the best booked tournaments that the company has ever done. Very sad, though, that all 3 men that Bret worked with in this tournament are no longer with us. Razor, gone. Perfect, gone. Bam Bam, gone. So that's very sad. But I love the look and the feel of the venue. They were at the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio. I mean, what's not to like when you have a building called the Nutter Center, right? I mean, come on. This was not the first King of the Ring. This was the first televised King of the Ring. They had previous tournaments dating all the way back to 1985. This was the first time that we had the Big Five on pay-per-view. Traditionally, it was the Big Four. So now it was the Big Five. But the whole concept of it back in the mid-'80s was as a house show attraction to try to sell tickets. So from 85 through 91, possibly they might have missed 1 year in between. It was a house show gimmick. And Bret Hart won one of those King of the Ring tournaments previously. Here's the bracket for the tournament on this show. Had Bret Hart and Razor Ramon in a first-round match. Mr. Perfect against Mr. Hughes. The Battle of the Misters. Hacksaw Jim Duggan against Bam Bam Bigelow. And Tatanka taking on Lex Luger. And this is a big deal to fans at the time because these were 2 men who were undefeated in WWE. And obviously you would think one of them would no longer be undefeated when this match was over, but you would be wrong. Hulk Hogan defended the WWF Championship against Yokozuna. The Steiner Brothers and the Smoking Guns took on Money Inc. and the Head Shrinkers. Shawn Michaels defended his Intercontinental title against Crush. And of course we had the finals at the very end of the night. There was a dark match before the show. WWE was working at the time. They had a working relationship with Jerry Lawler in the USWA, and they were sending some talent to work there. One of those talents was Papa Shango, who had worked there many years earlier as Soul Taker. He beat Jerry Lawler to win the USWA title, and so on this show, before they went on the air, he successfully defended his USWA title against Owen Hart. I don't know if there's... I'm sure there is footage of the match. I don't believe it's ever been released, but that took place before they went on the air. And, just to take you back, I want to talk about WrestleMania IX, but let's actually start out here, and then we'll talk more about some of the backstory. So let's just kick this off. Again, Season 1, episode 1 on Peacock. We are starting at the 1 minute 42-second mark into the show. You will see Jim Ross standing there next to Bobby Heenan and Macho Man Randy Savage. It's pretty much starting from the point where JR says, what a night it's going to be, ladies and gentlemen. That's where I'm starting mine. So I'm going to count backwards from 3. We'll do 3, 2, 1. I'll say now, and everybody should push play at that point. So 3, 2, 1, now. And there we go. So this is starting from the entrance for Razor Ramon. So Razor's going to come to the ring, then Bret, and then the match will get started. We'll let some more people filter in here. Hey, Ted Evans, what's going on, Ted? We haven't started. We just started now. Got my drink. I got my Bret jersey here. We're all ready, man. We're all ready for this. 30 years later, here's Razor Ramon. This was right before the babyface turn. But what I was going to say is here as Razor makes his entrance, WrestleMania IX had taken place a few months before this. That was the pay-per-view right before. And as a result of the controversial way that things ended that night, with Bret getting screwed out of the championship by Yokozuna, Hulk Hogan comes out. It's like he cashed in his Hogan in the Bank. He becomes WWF champ. Yeah, long before Charlotte in the Bank, there was Hogan in the Bank. And so what happened is Jack Tunney, who was the on-screen president of the company at the time, he decided that we're going to have this tournament. He granted Bret entry into the tournament without having to qualify. So Bret was the only one in this tournament who did not have to wrestle a qualifying match to get in. He was automatically inserted. Bret was of the impression that this tournament would be the launching pad to an eventual match, a championship match, between himself and Hulk Hogan. That's where he thought it was going. They even, in his book, right? In his book, he tells a story about the photo shoot with him and Hogan the month before this. In May of 93, he's always claimed that there was a photo shoot. The two of them attended. It showed them playing tug of war with the belt. There's been Photoshop jobs of it. The actual poster, the actual image has never been released. But he insists that it happened. They shot it. And a week later, Vince called him and said, we're going to put the belt on you. He goes, I just got to check with Hulk first. That's what Vince told to Bret. He goes, I got to sell it to Hogan first. And Hogan didn't go for it. Hogan tells a very different version of events because, of course, he does. And obviously, when Vince called Bret to give him the news, he was very upset. As the bell rings and the match now getting underway, Vince told him, and Bret was very upset. And Vince told him that he was only, Hogan's explanation to Bret supposedly was, I'm only doing what Vince wants. Vince wants me to lose, I would lose it, brother, but he wants me to win. That was always Hogan's claim. So here we go. Bret and Razor locking up here. Let me throw this image up on screen because this is an image from the championship match that night. And John Garcia wants to know, what minute mark are we at? We are about to hit the 5-minute mark of the show. 5 seconds from now. So Razor and Bret are first locking up. We're 5 minutes into the show if you want to play catch up here. But this image here, this was the end of the Hogan match with Yokozuna on this show. Hogan dropped the belt back to Yoko. That's Harvey Whippleman, by the way, in disguise, dressed as a photographer, jumping up on the apron to snap a photo. His camera exploded in Hogan's face. And Hogan lost that match. After Hulk got to the back, Bret was waiting to confront him. This was in the middle of the show because Hogan's match went on not at the very end. And Bret told Hogan, you told me at WrestleMania IX that you would be happy to return the favor. And now you don't want to even work with me. You won't put me over. And I'm not in your league. He said, well, you're right. You're not in my league. And on behalf of myself, my family, and most of the boys in the dressing room, you can go fuck yourself. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. To be a fly on the wall to see this when Hogan got to the back and Bret confronted him. So Hogan responded to him and said, brother, you don't know the whole story, brother. And Bret told him he got the story right from Vince. And he told Hogan, he goes, if it's not true, then go ahead and be straight with me. And Hogan said to him that he couldn't do that. And when Bret asked him, why not? Hogan said, because you just told me to go fuck myself. And Bret said, that's right, and I'll tell you again, go fuck yourself. And at that point, Bret headed to the ring for his finals match with Bam Bam Bigelow. What a fucking story. What a story. And as Bret said to Vince McMahon after this, when Vince confronted him and he was admonishing him for being unprofessional with Hogan, Bret told him, look, being king of the ring does not pay the same as being the champion. So, always very interesting to look back on that period and what might have been had the two of them actually worked together and done business. Juan Ocampo is joining us. Hey, Juan. What's going on here? So we got some chain wrestling going on here at the start. Now, all of these first-round matches had 10-minute time limits. The semifinals had 20 minutes, and the finals had 60. So these matches cannot go longer than 10. If it goes 10, it goes to a draw. MH Nova says Bret meant that. Oh, I'm sure Bret meant every word of that. Yeah, so Bret did not just tell Hogan to go fuck himself. He told Hogan to go fuck himself twice. And when he gave Hogan the chance to explain himself, Hogan said, well, I can't because you just told me to go fuck myself. So, always respected Bret for that. Is Solomonster drinking this early? Of course. All right, here we go. Every hour is happy hour. Yes, that is Mike Chioda with quite the mullet. This was a big period for mullet. Shawn Michaels had a big mullet around this time in 93. So Razor now working over Bret. Hey, Griga just gifted a channel membership. And Tim was the lucky recipient. Thank you, Griga. Griga, I saw you also gifted at least one last night. I know I didn't mention it, but I did see that, so thank you. What am I drinking? It is a Jack and Coke. Keeping it very simple. Keeping it very simple. We don't overcomplicate things here. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. See, Uffman's got the right idea, man. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Absolutely right. It's an Irish whip countered, and Bret just ate a nasty knee to the mouth. And posted shoulder first. These are not these encased ring posts they have now. That is raw steel right there. And this is going to be the story of the tournament here. Bret taking punishment. Bret taking a lot of abuse. Is he going to be able to survive? Is he going to be able to make it all the way to the finals? This is the story they were telling with him. Razor's no slouch. I mean, Razor's a big guy. He's deceptively big, Scott Hall. You know, he's probably a good 6'6". So you hear on commentary, it's Jim Ross. Hey, Lady Fire Panda with 5 gifted channel memberships. That is awesome. That means people can come on in here now. They can participate in the chat if they were the lucky recipient. West Coast James has got tequila. Tequila's good, man. Tequila's good. I like it. Hey, Fire Panda, thank you for the 5. 5 more members. Now, I was saying, though, on commentary, you hear Jim Ross, Randy Savage, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. This was their second time working together. They had worked together for the first time at WrestleMania. That was Jim Ross's debut in the company. There was a technical issue during the show, and I don't know if it started here in this match or if it came later on, but there was a technical issue where they were having trouble hearing each other in their headsets. So there are different parts of the show where they're talking over each other and they can't really hear each other too well. I see a lot of people, over the years bashing this commentary team. Yeah, I always liked it. I mean, they weren't completely well-oiled. They weren't a well-oiled machine together. I think this might have been the last time they worked together, all 3 of them. But I enjoyed the commentary on the show. Only a near fall. Bret kicks out. So after this, we're going to be going, and I'll let you guys know, because what we'll do in between here, we're going to have to pause, and then I and all of you are going to have to skip to the next part, and I'll let you know what the timestamps are on that. Hey, Tyrone Dunstan, thank you, man, for the $5 super chat. Very nice of you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was kind of a quiet night on the Raw stream last night. It's almost like there was a big basketball game going on. It was definitely a quieter night. We got out of here a lot quicker than usual. Fire Panda, thank you for that. Hey, KSE Zombie, welcome to the chat, man. You now have channel member privileges. Oh, Brett's fighting back. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. See, I wish he could teach the wrestlers today how to throw a fucking punch. These two right here, actually, both of them, Scott Hall and Bret Hart, two of the best work punches in wrestling. You could throw Jerry Lawler in there, too. Only a near fall. Razor kicks out. Compared to what we have today, the commentary here is gold. Yeah. Yeah. You go back and watch the old stuff and you learn to appreciate things like this a lot more. All right, so Brett's going through his arsenal here. There's that backbreaker over the knee. Here comes that middle rope elbow drop. There it, ooh, look at the mat. No give. No give to that canvas. So that was hell on their knees, on their back. Ugh. It's hard to go back sometimes and watch some of these matches like superplexes and stuff, and the ring doesn't move. It's like landing on concrete. But it makes a great noise. You notice that? You can hear it. Like it makes a great sound. Here comes the running bulldog by Bret, but he gets sent sternum first. A classic Bret spot right into the top turnbuckle. That'll knock the wind right out of you. Fire Panda says, who has the best out-of-nowhere finisher, not including the RKO? Well, I was probably going to say the RKO. Most finishers are not out of nowhere. Austin sometimes would, like a quick kick wham stunner. I don't know if that would really be considered out of nowhere. So he's got him up for the Razor's Edge. And Bret's he's gonna wiggle his way out of it. Oh, nice counter. He's trying. They're fighting. They're fighting for the backslide. Look at this. Bret pushes off the ropes with his feet. Rolls up Razor. Did he get him? Oh, okay, okay. I thought he got him. I forgot the finish for a second. Shit, he got me. Listen to the crowd. They thought he got him too. Holy shit, on that small package. I thought that was it. I completely forgot that wasn't the finish. I've seen this match more than once. I should know this. Max, yeah, we're right. This first match is about to come to an end. We're still on the first match. Here we go. Here comes the finish. Razor's going to go for a back suplex off the middle rope. Oh, Bret falls on top of him. Yeah. I didn't like that finish because he just doesn't even make an attempt to kick out. Like, at least make an attempt to kick out, and Scott Hall just lays there. That I didn't like, but there you go. So that finish came out of nowhere. This would be a common theme on this show with Bret. He did not win any of these matches with the sharpshooter. And that was something Pat Patterson came to him before the show and told him. No sharpshooter on the show. Come up with a different finish for every match. To this day, Bret has no idea why he was told that. He has no idea if it came from Vince or what the logic was behind it. But you'll notice not one of these matches did he win with the sharpshooter. So they're going to show a replay here of the finish. There you go. And again, it's kind of an ugly cover. I don't mind that. I like that. It's kind of like, you know, if it were real, it might not be the prettiest cover, but I still think Razor should have at least pretended that he was trying to kick out. All right, so I paused the show. Everybody can pause at this point. Put pause on it. So that's the first match, the first of three that Bret would wrestle on this show. Now, I want to give you guys a chance to skip ahead. We're not starting yet. The next timestamp where we're going to be starting from, 56 minutes, 23 seconds. So I'm going to actually scrub ahead myself. 56. There we go. 56:23. And what this is. So this is right after the Lex Luger-Tatanka match. Tatanka is being helped out of the ring to the back. Excuse me, to the back. And here we go. 56. Again, we're not starting yet. Just pausing it. Okay, so they cut to black. When they come back from the fade out, this is going to be the beginning of a great segment. This is the interview that preceded the semifinal match between Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. And if you've never seen this before, this is it's a classic segment where they talk about my dad is better than your dad, and they make reference to the match they had at SummerSlam 91 at Madison Square Garden and how Perfect owes him for that. It's just a great interview. And so we're going to watch that, and then we'll get into the entrances for the second match. Hey, Taylor Cannon just gifted a channel membership. What's going on, Taylor? I hope you're having a great Tuesday so far. For those joining late, again, 56-23. We were watching King of the Ring 93 on Peacock. It's Season 1, Episode 1 of the King of the Ring. 56 minutes, 23 seconds. So that is where we're going to be starting here in a few seconds. Fire Panda, have you gotten any notifications from YouTube about channel members recently? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean notifications? Notifications about what? Is Peacock giving you ads? Yeah, you might not be on the ad-free version of Peacock. So I'll give you guys a few seconds. They have their ad-free version, and then they have their other version where you got to sit through all the Peacock stuff. Favorite wrestling finisher? Can I say sharpshooter? No, I mean, oh boy, favorite finisher. You know, that crossface chicken wing. I was always a fan of that. It was very easy to apply. I've always been a big fan of the chicken wing. All right, so we're going to get going here. So again, 56-23. And when you hit play on that, it should be coming out of the break into Mean Gene in the back. I'm going to start from 3, count down to 1, and say play. And then we'll all hit play. 3, 2, 1... push play. And here we go. Mean Gene in the back with Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. And take a look at Bret's fingers. They're taped out from the previous match. Yeah, so he's mentioning Tatanka and Luger went to a draw. So Bam Bam advances automatically to the finals. So Bam Bam's wrestling either Bret or Perfect in the finals. Gene is stirring the shit here between them. He's stirring the pot. Didn't you say that you'd rather face Perfect in the semifinals? You prefer the endurance of Perfect as opposed to the size and strength of Mr. Hughes. Mean Gene pointing out both second-generation wrestlers. Larry the Axe, Stu Hart. Yep, there you go. My dad beat your dad. So here's Perfect saying, I remember SummerSlam, I owe you. Oh! Mr. Perfect says, I will win, I am a winner. And Bret says, you weren't at SummerSlam.
I have one pair of skinny jeans, and I'm going to wear them every week just to piss you off.
Oh, he went for the handshake, and he pulled his hand back. Did Perfect. There you go. Hey, Bobber just dropped a $35 Batista Skinny Jeans super chat. That's one of the new ones. Hey, Bobbert, thank you very much, man. I think you're the first one to trigger that one. Hold on a second. Here's the end of the perfect promo. All you Canadians are alike. I owe you for SummerSlam, and Mr. Perfect is going to prevail. There you go. Fucking love that segment. Simple, right? But you feel the tension between them. You know there's a history there. You know Perfect wants to make up for what happened in Madison Square Garden. Bret's coming out. The fingers are taped. Razor had stomped on them in the first match. So you know that's going to be a target for Perfect here in this match. So here we go. Bret, match number 2. Perfect, match number 2. Perfect's match with Mr. Hughes was like 3 minutes. It was not very long at all. Bobbert, again, thank you, man, for the $35. He says, just watched your Raw review today. I'm surprised that Charlotte Flair didn't show up again when Rhea got her new title. You know, I half expected her to. Remember, she's got that briefcase. She carries it around everywhere she goes. She never leaves home without it. Fire Panda, to go back to what you were asking me before. So you're mentioning the milestones. Yeah. Nothing new. No, there's been no new milestone yet. If we actually hit 900 members, we're still a ways off from 900, but we haven't hit 900 yet. We're still a little over 800. So here's Mr. Perfect. I will tell you, this right here is maybe, trying to think where I would rank this. This is one of my favorite matches of all time. This, in my opinion, far superior to their match at SummerSlam. And I like their match at SummerSlam. Even though Perfect had the bad back, physically he just wasn't at his best. Everybody talks about the Madison Square Garden match. That was the more epic of the two matches, and it had the better finish. But I love this match so much. This right here is one of my favorite matches of all time. This right here is the match I would show somebody if they've never watched pro wrestling before and they want to know what pro wrestling is. This is one of the matches that I would show them. This is probably the match I would show them. Love this match. And again, Perfect was just in better shape with his back this time than he was in the first match. So I thought the match itself was better. The finish is better in the other match, though. So there's Savage again, pointing out that Bret beat Perfect with the sharpshooter at SummerSlam a couple of years before this. So here we go. Shoots Bret off into the ropes. There's a shoulder tackle. I'm going to get the drop down, leapfrog. No. Oh. It's a hip block, side headlock takeover. We got some back and forth here from Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. I think Bret has said that Kurt Hennig was his favorite opponent that he ever worked with. Of course, of all the days for me to be doing the watch-along, I have a jackhammer outside my window. There is construction going on in the neighbor's yard, and they are literally jackhammering into the ground. Fucking Goldberg is outside. So if you hear anything like that, that's what that is. Slam back the rest of that drum. I'm almost done. I'm trying to preserve what I have left here. Oh! There's a knife edge chop by Bret. It's not quite a Walter chop, but it was close. Bret with a slam. Perfect, though. Kicks him down. Oh, body slam by Perfect. Bret kicks him down. I love it. I love it. You can tell Perfect is getting frustrated. There's Earl Hebner. No stranger to Bret Hart matches. Earl Hebner, the official for this match. Hey, Groovy Goose. I forgot to mention Groovy Goose at the beginning also dropped 99 cents. Hey, Groovy, thank you. Queasy says, I love this era of Jim Ross. Yeah, I mean, this was, that early period of, like, the late 80s, early 90s was Jim Ross, just as, like, a pure play-by-play commentator, Jim Ross at his best. The emotion and everything, he kind of, he amped it up a lot during the Attitude Era, but this is my favorite era of Jim Ross on the headset. Here's Bret going for a crucifix. He takes him over. Only got a 2 count out of it. And he keeps taking him back down. Every time Perfect tries to mount a comeback, you see Bret takes him down with that side headlock takeover. MJF would be very proud. Now we know where MJF got it from. He got it from Bret. Scara, there is technically a Discord. The Discord is really not active, though. So that's why I'm not really pushing it as much. I had started it. I still, frankly, am not really well-versed in Discord. So I started it more as an experiment so I can play with it, and we brought some channel members into it. I mean, I could let you know. I mean, I could send you a link, but again, it's not currently active, so there's not a whole lot of discussion going on in there, but that could change, though. Oh, down goes Perfect. All right, so he kicks out. Bret goes out to the floor. Now, Bret's going to try to come back in. There you see. Buries the shoulder into the gut. Sunset flip back into the ring. Only going to get a near fall out of it. And again, with the side headlock takeover, he takes down Perfect. So we just got some great wrestling here between these two. I mean, you can see the chemistry between them. You can tell they've worked together many times before. You know, Bret has said the best match he and Perfect ever had wasn't even televised. It was at, I think, some live event in Anchorage, Alaska or something back in '89. So who knows if it was even on video anywhere. I need my own subreddit. Reddit's offline right now. A lot of the Reddit forums, the pro wrestling forum on Reddit, they've gone dark. They're protesting apparently some new policies that Reddit put into place. So who knows when they'll be back. All right, so there's a little shade of the old Mr. Perfect there. He buried that knee in the midsection. Earl Hebner's warning him. You can see that frustration is settling in here. He's not taking any more of this shit. He's starting to get pissed off. Is this Earl? Yes, it is Earl. I don't believe Dave was doing refereeing at this point. Dave was pretty much backstage only, so that is Earl. All right, so Perfect with a drop kick sends Bret out to the floor, and you can see Bret he's hurting. You know, Bret's he's in a bad way right now. Crazy JJ says, "What is happening with Reddit?" Again, there are certain Reddit forums that are that have gone dark. They've gone private. Not all of them, but like a Squared Circle on Reddit, you can't get in there anymore. As of Monday, they've gone dark. And there's no indication of when or even if they might come back. They're apparently protesting some policy changes Reddit has made. I don't know the whole story. I just know that they're not up anymore. So Perfect has Bret back in the ring. There's another chop. Oof. Those aggressive shots, clubbing blows, kicks to the head. Nice knee lift. Beautiful. I don't know what it is about this building. Because they've done shows in this building before. I think AEW was at the Nutter Center not too long ago. And the buildings just don't look the same. I don't know if there was some kind of renovation there or whatever. I mean, you can tell it's a smaller building. It looks different. I don't know what it is. A lot of these buildings, they lost that charm. They just all look the same now. There's just a sameness to them. All right, so Bret is down on the floor. He just got the shit chopped out of him. And Perfect got back in the ring to break the count. So I think we're coming up on a spot that's pretty brutal. I think where Bret gets knocked into the guardrail. This might be it. Let's see. He's up on the apron. Here we go. Perfect is going to send him flying. Oh. I think he landed knee first on that. Is that a cooler? Yeah, it's a cooler. It's like a plastic cooler. Yeah, that's a tough bump. Yeah, he's grabbing the knee. That was a tough bump. And as Jim Ross is pointing out on commentary, he gets counted out. Perfect goes on to the finals. But oh yeah, his knee is in a rough way. I'm sure it's mostly selling, but his knee did smack that cooler. I'm sure that didn't feel too good. And remember, he came in with a bad ankle. So I don't know which leg it is, but he's also got a bad ankle from the night before. He went 30 minutes with Backlund. That was the first time Bob Backlund had ever been pinned, ever, in his career at Madison Square Garden. It was against Bret the night before here. All right, so Bret's back inside. Perfect's going to work him over a little bit more. Yeah, Brian, I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. Those containers, they don't look cheap. They don't look cheaply made. If anything, it's like a hard plastic. So you land on that with your kneecap, it's not going to feel too good. So Perfect is going up. We don't usually see him go to the top rope. He's on top. He's waiting. He's stalking. He's waiting for Bret to get up. Bret's up. Oh, a missile drop kick. How many times have you seen Mr. Perfect with a missile drop kick off the top? And Bret he got his foot on the bottom rope. Always with presence of mind. Perfect's getting pissed. Oh. Chest first into the top turnbuckle. Nobody took a corner better than Bret. Oh, man. Yeah, Bret, as Jim Ross said, this is warfare. Darth wants to know the current timestamp. We are about to hit 1 hour, 10 minutes. And we just hit 1 hour, 10 and 25 seconds. All right, so Perfect back up top. That's one time too many. Bret caught him. Bret's on the middle rope. He's going for a superplex from the second rope. See, no give. What did I say before? No give on that mat. You go back and watch the Bret match he had with Owen in the cage at SummerSlam the following year. He superplexed him from the top of the cage, and the ring didn't move. It's funny, too, because the rings were not always like that. Like in the mid-'80s, the rings had give. They had a lot of spring to them. And from what I can remember, a lot of that had to do with Dick Ebersol on NBC. And when they started Saturday Night's Main Event, apparently he didn't like the fact that the ring moved. So they changed the rings. And, of course, you look back on it, and that was a pretty stupid thing. I'm sure a lot of guys got hurt. All right, so he's got the figure four locked on Mr. Perfect. Perfect he's in agony, but he's not giving up. He's got that figure four locked in. Up. He just tried to put a thumb in Bret's eye, but it didn't work. He's still got that figure four applied. Earl's ready. It's like, do you give up? Perfect's he's trying to reverse it. He's trying to get to the bottom rope. And he does. Drew McIntyre. What's going on, Drew? Bret's limping around. Perfect. Trying to beg off. Oh, here we go. Bret's going to work over that leg. He's going to set him up. He's going to set him up for the sharpshooter soon. Hey, Bobby's World is with us. Based Beerus, God of Seduction. Hey, Bonzilla Arcade. And the chat is members only here for the watch-alongs, and we've had a bunch of gifted memberships today so far, so thank you for that. Where is Scorpio? I don't know. I don't know where Dr. Scorpio is. All right, so both men now are limping. They look like they've been in a war. All right, so here we go. Perfect coming up behind Bret. What's he going to do here? Oh, he's grabbing him by that hair. He's grabbing him by the oil slick in his head. Ah. Sends him halfway across the ring. What did Lawler say once? He's got like 65 pounds of oil. I think it was actually Bobby Heenan once. Brett got up off the mat. He was like, look, it's like a giant oil slick in the ring. There's so much oil in his hair. That's right. We got Bret emojis in the chat. Some of you people don't realize that. We have Bret as one of the emojis. All right, here we go. Shoots him off. Perfect. Sleeper hold. He's got that sleeper hold. Center of the ring. He's got Bret down. He's got it deep in. Mr. Perfect's fisherman suplex is a thing of beauty, says Darth Panic. Hey, you know, Raw last night, we had Matt Riddle delivering a fisherman superplex off the top rope. That was pretty impressive. That was in his match with Damian Priest. All right, so Bret fighting his way back up to his feet. Back down to his knees. But he's got the middle rope. So Perfect is going to have to break. We should be coming to the end here shortly. Now, he's not letting go. He is not letting go. See, he knows he's got until the count of 5. That's smart. Go to 4.5, and then you let go of the hold. So Perfect is limping badly. Oof. God, those chops, my God. All right, right back to the sleeper hold. See, one of the things I appreciate about this match, and again, I'm not trying to knock, because there's plenty of matches and plenty of wrestlers in today's era that I enjoy, you know, that have all the high spots and the gymnastics and stuff. But you see so much of it, so often, it gets exhausting, and it's refreshing to go back and watch a match like this that feels like a fight. You know, there's some great wrestling in here. And you've got missile drop kicks, and you've got some spots here and there like that. But this feels like a match between two people who are trying to beat the hell out of each other and win a match. They're not in there showing off. They're not in there to do fancy spots. They're beating the crap out of each other. And it's one of the elements of wrestling that we don't get enough of anymore. You know, it's like, it's more of a show. You know, we know it's a show. I don't need it to be thrown in my face every 5 seconds. So it's nice to go back and watch a match like this. You know, Perfect looks like he's legitimately pissed off at Bret. He's frustrated, he's pissed, and he's trying to put this guy down to win a match. Actually, I just realized there's one big spot we haven't seen yet, so we're not over yet. Oh, what an uppercut. What an uppercut by Bret. Wow. That came from deep within. Hey, Fire Panda, maybe. Maybe. Oh, poor Perfect. He just got crotched. Right under the bottom rope on the ring post. All right, here comes Bret now. Inverted atomic drop. Here comes the side Russian leg sweep. He's dipping into his bag of tricks. Another thing you'll notice with these referee counts, and this was a common thing back then, especially when Monday Night Raw first started, I started to notice it a lot more. There was clearly some kind of directive from Vince McMahon. It had to be. Because in so many of these matches, the referees, there was a sense of urgency with the counts. They were fast counting the shit out of these guys. So you had to be quick to the draw. If you were down and you were getting counted, you might get your shoulders pinned to the mat if you don't get a shoulder up or kick out quickly enough. And I think they did that on purpose, probably just to kind of speed things up a little bit. See, you'll notice even just Earl's count, his cadence here on his count is just so much faster. It was clearly some kind of directive from the top here. Here we go. Here comes the sharpshooter. He's trying. And Perfect bends the fingers. What did I say, right? He's going to focus on the fingers. He sees the bandaged fingers. He bends them backwards. He stomps on them. That is smart strategy there by Perfect. They're telling a story here. They're using psychology, and they're telling a story in this match. We are at the 1 hour, 18 minute, 25 second mark. Okay, Perfect going for the perfect plex. Bret's trying to fight it off. Oh, here it is. Here comes the spot. This is a classic Stampede Wrestling spot. Ah! Suplexed out over the top rope. Both men tumble over the top and they come crashing down on the floor. That is a classic Bret Dynamite Kid spot from Calgary. It's the first time I ever saw it. That was a rough landing. Perfect, though, is the first one back in. Bret's still on the floor. All right, here we go. Bret's getting up. All right, both men back in the ring. Earl's getting between them. Are you okay? Are you guys okay? Okay, here we go. Perfect. With the inside cradle. Bret reverses it. And he gets him. And he gets him. By the skin of his teeth, he got him. He reversed the inside cradle, and that is how Bret Hart beats Mr. Perfect. He got it, and Perfect knows it. He knows he got. He's pissed. What a fucking match. What a fucking match. Oh, look at that. Perfect leaving the ring. He's not going to shake hands. He's frustrated. He's cursing himself. You can see how upset he is. Our referee, he's yelling at Earl, telling him that's bogus. And Perfect. All right, so he's going to be coming. Here we go. He's coming back in. Now, you don't know at this point what he's going to do. I remember watching this show live, and it's like, oh, what's he going to do? Is he going to attack him? All right, so he's getting up in Bret's face. They're exchanging words. It's going to go down here. And he puts his hand out. And Bret shakes his hand. There you go. A show of sportsmanship by Mr. Perfect, who leaves the ring. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is professional wrestling. That is pro wrestling at its finest. So they're going to show the updated brackets here. Bret beats Razor. He beats Perfect, and now the final is set. Bret Hart will face Bam Bam Bigelow in the finals of this King of the Ring tournament to determine the 1993 King of the Ring. Look at Randy Savage. He's all excited. He's throwing his hat. All right, so we can pause the show right here. Everybody can pause. Put a pause on it. Hey, Shaheen Alatar. He's been a channel member for almost 2 full years. He's a Sound Off legend. Good day, Solomonster, and my fellow GWO members. Hope everybody is having a great day. Hey, Shaheen, I'm having a wonderful day. Thank you for asking. I hope you are too. So that is match number 2 of 3 that we are watching here on this watch along. You just saw it. Bret Hart beating Mr. Perfect to advance to the finals of the King of the Ring. So what you want to do now, we're not going to start yet. The final timestamp that you want to skip to, 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 50 seconds. 2:16:50. That's 5-0. That is going to be the start of an interview with Bam Bam Bigelow backstage with Mean Gene Okerlund. So skip ahead to that part and pause it at 2:16:50. Because that is where we are going to be commencing here. And at that point, we're pretty much going to watch it straight through until the end. Because it'll be the final match and then the post-match coronation ceremony and the whole angle with Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler. So that is where we are heading to next. Do I need a smoke after that match? Well, I don't smoke, but it's one of those matches to me that just never gets old. I'm sure everybody has that match that no matter where they are, what they're doing, no matter how many years have gone by, you can always go back and watch that match from start to finish without fast forwarding and without getting bored. And for me, this is one of those matches. I can't say that about any other match on this show, except that one. That one is the one I always go back to. Fire Panda, no, this is not the night that Jerry Lawler debuts. Jerry Lawler debuted in WWE in the end of 92. So he debuted on an episode of Primetime Wrestling in studio. Bobby Heenan actually introduced him. He was on set. Vince McMahon was there. So he had already been in the company for many months. He was in the Royal Rumble that year. He was in the Royal Rumble match in 93. But this was the start of the angle with him and Bret. Because of the whole King of the Ring concept, right? I'm the king. You can't call yourself the king. I'm the king. But no, Lawler had already been in the company for over 6 months at that point. All right, so hopefully your Peacock ads have come to an end. Actually, I didn't fast forward to that part myself, so let me scrub ahead to 2:16:50. We'll fast forward through the Hogan-Yoko match and the Intercontinental title match. And here we go. And so we just get to that point. Okay, so we're going to get started here in just a second. Everybody, 2:16:50. That is where we are starting from. It's going to be the beginning of the Bam Bam Mean Gene interview backstage. Let me pause this here. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start from 3, 2, 1. I'm going to say push play, and we're all going to start from that point. 3, 2, 1. Push play now. Again, this is Bam Bam in the back with Mean Gene Okerlund right before the main event. And Gene pointing out the fact that Bret has had 2 exhausting matches here, and Bam Bam, he's fresh as a daisy. He only had 1 match on the show against Jim Duggan. Got to buy into the finals. Well, he wouldn't exactly be the first King of the Ring, but first televised King of the Ring. Well, I know what he means. All right, so here we go. Bam Bam making his entrance. Howard Finkel introducing him down to the ring. You know, with this win, Bret did become I think to this day, the only person in history to be a 2-time King of the Ring winner. He had won the tournament back in 91, which I believe was the last one they did before this show. He beat IRS in the finals. And it was on a live event. I don't remember where it was. I think it was some building that had like 2,500 people, but business in 91 and 92 was not great anyway. So he won the crown in 91, and then he won it again here in 93. So the only person to ever do that. So here we go. Bam Bam is in the ring. Referee Joey Morella, the son of Gorilla Monsoon, who unfortunately passed away about a year later. It's in July of 94. I think it might have been 4th of July weekend in 94 when he died. And here comes the Hitman. Here we go. He got his ass kicked against Razor. He got his ass kicked against Mr. Perfect. How's he going to do it? How is he going to find a way to win this match? He's very resourceful, though. I have faith that he'll find a way. Yeah, the lyrics for Bam Bam's music were very confusing. You know, it just says Bam Bam over and over and over again. Very, very hard to remember the lyrics to that song. So again, 60-minute time limit for this match. Here's a spoiler. It's not going 60. But they do go a while. They do give these guys some time here. Again, Bam Bam just smashing him here from the start. Do I ever plan to shave my head and get flames tattooed? I'm not going to do that. Nice military press by Bam Bam. Bret falls back on top of him, though, only a near fall. But if they ever make a Bam Bam skull cap, like a bald cap that has tattoos on it, maybe I'll wear that on a stream. But no, I am not going to shave my head and tattoo anything on my head. I think you got to be out of your fucking mind to get tattoos on your head. Just the idea of it freaks me out. I don't like needles to begin with. I don't like needles, and you know what I hate more than needles? Needles on my head. All right, so here we go. Irish whip. Bret into the ropes. Easy knockdown there by Bam Bam, who is having his way with Bret here in the early going. There's another military press. It's got Bret overhead. And just deposits him on the floor. He's just like garbage. Just dropped him outside the ring on the floor. My goodness. Yeah, he launched him all right. Yeah, Undertaker also should know he got tattooed. He got his ex-girlfriend's name tattooed across his throat and his Adam's apple. And let this be a public service announcement to all you men out there. I don't care how much you might love your girlfriend or your wife. I'm sure you have a lovely relationship. I'm sure that you would do anything for her. Don't ever get their name tattooed across your throat, because that will not end well. That is very stupid. Just sent Bret into the corner, and it looked like the ring moved. The Bam Bam is just working him over. Now, even after all these years, I still maintain this is the best tournament, the best King of the Ring tournament that WWE has ever done, even after 30 years. Yeah, I mentioned Hogan before, and the fact that Hogan had dropped the championship to Yokozuna on this show. This was the end of Hulkamania. I mean, he literally squashed him at the end of their match, after their match. And Bobby Heenan said Hulkamania is dead. And in WWE it was. This was the night that Hulkamania died. It was the last time we saw Hogan on television in WWE for 9 years. And he was not done with the company, though. He was still working dates. They had a European tour. They actually had some domestic dates after this, but there was a European tour. So this was not Hogan's last WWF show, contrary to what some people might believe. And one thing I did want to show you, and again, Bam Bam's still working over Bret here, but one thing I wanted to show you here, 2 days after this show. Now remember, Hogan got blinded on this show by the exploding camera. 2 days after this show, there was an event, a television taping. They taped Superstars and a bunch of different things in Huntington, West Virginia. And Hogan wrestled on that show. It was Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, who had Crush in their corner, beating Money Incorporated, who had the Giant Gonzalez in their corner. And it was a lumberjack match. And there's a famous photo floating around. That is where the photo comes from. I'm going to put that on screen right now. This is a real thing that happened. So, to my left here, if you're looking at the screen, that is the image from the television taping that night. That was June 15th. Of 1993. This was Hogan and Giant Gonzalez in the ring together. So you know that Hogan probably looked at this guy and saw dollar signs. If it were a different time, he would have worked with him years earlier, because Hogan worked with all the big guys. So thank God we never got this match. This would have been fucking terrible. But that's where this image comes from. This was at the end of that match. Gonzalez got in the ring, Hogan pointing at him. So they never did actually work together in WWE. Thankfully, never got to that point. Hogan escaped. When Gonzalez charged him, he escaped the ring and left. But August 6th of 1993 was officially Hogan's final match from his first run. He wrestled Yokozuna. It was in Sheffield, England. And that would be the final match for nearly 9 years. Got a disqualification win over the champion. And less than a year later, Hulk Hogan was the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. So that didn't take very long. Bam Bam has Bret right now in a bear hug. Bret is... dropped with a back suplex. Bret is just... he's getting killed here. But he's like, look at this guy. He's like Orange Cassidy now in AEW. He keeps kicking out no matter what you do to him. Undertaker, yeah, poor Undertaker. Undertaker wanted to work with Yokozuna a lot sooner than he did. And it was Vince who said, no, I got a guy for you. And he ended up working with Giant Gonzalez. So had Hogan stuck around, he probably would have been the one working with Giant Gonzalez. And he would have spared the Undertaker. And poor Undertaker got saddled with him. So Bret's out on the floor now. Bam Bam's going to follow him outside. Oh, Bret reverses him, sends Bam Bam into the guardrail. These are not the thick black barricades they have today. So that guardrail just went into someone's knee. That happened to me once at an independent show. I know that doesn't feel too good. All right, Bret's up on the apron. What's he going to do? Comes off with an elbow smash right to the back of the head. Gotta be careful he doesn't get counted out here. Bret rolls back inside. So Bret, for the first time in this match, has finally got some momentum. He's going to go back outside. He jumps at Bam Bam. Bam Bam catches him. Uh-oh. Rammed him back first into the steel ring post. Ah, Bret. And Michael, I'll tell you a funny story about that victory roll here when we get to that part. It wasn't so fun for Bam Bam. So he just body slammed Bret here. Oh, so here we go. Now, pay attention to what's about to happen. So Bret is in the aisleway. He just got body slammed on the floor. Bam Bam has taken the referee in the ring. So the referee's attention is turned. Here's Luna Vachon. This is going to be a weak chair shot, though. Yeah. Not the strongest chair shot in the world, but Luna Vachon took a chair shot to Bret, or took a chair, I should say, to Bret's back. Referee did not see it. So now the referee turns around. He's counting Bret. Joey Marella has no idea what just happened. And Jim Ross on commentary saying, don't let it end this way. He's been far too brave to get to this point and have it end this way. So he's got Bret back in the ring. Scoops up Bret, slams him down. And now Bam Bam is headed up to the top rope. He's going for the kill. He's going for the headbutt. Here it comes. Bombs away with the headbutt from the top. 1, 2. It's over. It's over. Bam Bam Bigelow is your King of the Ring for 1993. But wait. Years before he would screw him, is that Earl? Yeah, that's Earl. Earl Hebner is in. He's saying, no. Bret got hit in the back with the chair. So now Earl Hebner and Joey Marella are conferring with Howard Finkel, and here comes the announcement. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. Howard made a mistake. He fucked up. He said the referee has reversed the decision. Earl says, no. That would make Bret the winner. We're not reversing the decision. That's right. Howard stands corrected. There we go. So the referees have ruled that this match will continue. We got the false finish there. False alarm. Here we go. The match continues. I had forgotten how awful that chair shot was that Luna gave to Bret. Especially because, like, she hit him in the back. You know what I mean? Like, you could lay it in. It's not like she hit him in the head with it or anything. So yeah, Bam Bam got the 3 count. He pinned Bret. But Earl Hebner saved Bret Hart. And so the match continues. I mean, he's just barely standing up. It's one of the great underdog sell jobs, really, in WWE history for him to go through this entire tournament and to go through the stuff he went through here in this match, and somehow he just finds a way to keep fighting back. It's a classic underdog babyface story. The crowd was not too excited about Bam Bam winning. That's why Bam Bam didn't win. But when the finish comes, you'll see they're pretty excited about Bret winning. Because Bret knew how to tell a story. Just by his mannerisms. You know, he knew how to tell a story. So here's another bear hug. Another bear hug by Bam Bam Bigelow. Squeezing the lower back of Bret. There's Bret. He's trying to fight. He's gonna try to fight his way out of it. Bam Bam said he did a shoot interview years later, and he did say he enjoyed working with Bret. Said they had good chemistry together. Oh, Bret had good chemistry with a lot of different people. So now Bam Bam's got him up over his shoulder in a backbreaker position. And he's just going to hold him there. Just going to hold him there in a backbreaker position. Referee's going to ask Bret if he wants to quit. And Bret could be fading here. Referee trying to look up, see, he can see Bret's face. Is he out? Okay, the first arm goes up, it goes down once. Goes down a second time. This is back when they did it 3 times. Now they just do it once. Which, honestly, the one is more realistic. Somebody is unconscious. You're not going to wait 3 seconds to throw the match away. All right, so here we go. Bret he's gonna roll over. He fights his way out of it. Big back suplex. He took down Bam Bam. And now that'll buy him some time. Bam Bam rolling around, holding the back of his head. Again, people shit on the commentary for this show. I think because they just didn't like Randy Savage's commentary. But I enjoyed it. I like the commentary for this show. I mean, it's not Gorilla and Bobby, but I enjoyed the commentary for this show. Oh, Bigelow went for a running senton, and Bret rolled out of the way, so he got nothing but canvas on that. We should be coming up on the finish here shortly. Yeah, the three is more drama, but the 1 is more realistic. I think a lot of that also has to do with, Ken Shamrock years ago introducing the tap out, and it just went, a more realistic direction. All right, so Bret sent into the corner, and again, Bret just collapses. How many times can one man be Irish whipped into the corner turnbuckles? We have gone past 15 minutes here in this match. I think this match went about 18. I believe. And again, Bam Bam has him up on his shoulder in a backbreaker position. Bret, though, look at this. Look at this. He's raking the eyes. Raking the eyes, and he's turning it into... He can switch his body, and he does, and he gets a sleeper hold. That's a nice counter. So now he's got a sleeper hold on Bam Bam. Bam Bam's going to sleep. Is he? He might be. He might be going to sleep. Hey, M. Mills, thank you for the $5. Happy Tuesday to you, M. Mills. Fire Panda Gorilla was still doing commentary. He did commentary on some of the syndicated shows and on the Coliseum home videos. But I know there was a period here where he got sick. That's why he didn't do WrestleMania IX. All right, so Bret with a drop kick to Bam Bam's back. And he just grabs his leg, dumps him out over the top rope. Bam Bam takes a tumble on the floor. And now Bret, look at this. Oh, a springboard dive out to the floor by Bret doing his flippy moves. Look at this. And now Bret is just hammering away on Bam Bam. How is this man fighting back, right? So he throws Bam Bam back in the ring. Follows him back inside. Flying clothesline off the middle rope by Bret. And try for the cover. Kick out at the last second by Bam Bam. Raking the eyes is very heelish, says Darth Panic. That's what I thought for years when I would watch Hulk Hogan. The big babyface hero who used to back scratch and eye rake. He's a fucking heel. He always was. Nice bulldog off the top rope by Bret. And now here comes the sharpshooter. He's going to try to put the sharpshooter on this guy. He tried with perfect. It didn't work. No, it didn't work here either. Bam Bam kicks out. Powers out of it. Another bear hug. He gets caught in another bear, but he bites him. He is biting Bam Bam, and he gets out of the bear hug. Oof. Tried for a back suplex. Bam Bam turned his body, landed on top of Bret, and still Bret kicks out. Bam Bam can't believe it. Macho Man can't believe it. Watch Macho, by the way, when this match is over. He's so excited when this match ends. Watch what he does. Oh, Bret got a boot to the Bam Bam's face. Okay, here it is. He's on his shoulders. Here comes the victory roll. 1, 2. He got him. Place explodes. He had them the entire time, and the place came unglued. That is the third non-sharpshooter finish on this show. And Savage is already in the ring. He tackled Bret. He's hugging him. He's celebrating with him. Savage came back out to the ring to celebrate with Bret at WrestleMania the following year when he won the title, too. It's too bad we never got a program between those two. So there's Tony Garea telling Bret, all right, get the hell out of the ring. We got a ceremony to get to. We got an angle to do here. So now Bret is being ushered by Rene Goulet. No time to celebrate in the ring. They're literally dragging this man down the aisle to the stage where Mean Gene has the royal robe that he is going to bestow upon Bret. You see the robe, you see the scepter, you see the crown. Here we go. Gene, with a big smile on his face, putting the robe on Bret. This might have been Gene's last show. I don't remember if he was at SummerSlam that year. This might have been Mean Gene's last pay-per-view for WWE. And then Bobby Heenan, obviously, he finished up at the end of the year. So, again, it felt like a changing of the guard this entire year. There were a lot of names that had been there for so long that were just gone by the time 94 started. You know, Hogan was gone. Mean Gene was gone. Heenan was gone. Savage would be gone a year later. So there's Bret with the robe. He's got the scepter, and now here comes the crown. WWE has this crown. They showed this on Most Wanted Treasures a few weeks ago. They have the crown in their storage facility, and it's all smashed in from the angle they did here. But they have the actual crown from this King of the Ring ceremony. I proclaim ye the King of the Ring. And here's Jerry Lawler. Here's Jerry the King Lawler. Now there's a spot here where Bret gets injured for real when Lawler takes the throne and just dumps it on him. I think he might have broken a rib. You'll see when we get to that part. So Lawler telling him there's only one king here in the World Wrestling Federation. And he might allow Bret to be a prince. If he gets down on his hands and knees and bows to the real king and kisses his royal feet. Because they would have a Kiss My Foot match at the King of the Ring 2 years after this. So Bret talking about the fact that Lawler didn't even have the guts to qualify for the tournament. Well, neither did Bret. Bret didn't have a qualifying match either. All right, so he calls Lawler the Burger King. Now he's getting the crowd to chant Burger King at him. So we got the Burger King chants. See, today it would be Miz and Tiny Balls. Oh! And Lawler just cheap shot at him with the scepter. And again, right in the back of the head. Oh man, I didn't realize he threw the ball of the scepter into the crowd. Stomps on the crown. This guy just wrestled 3 matches, totaling well over 45 minutes, and now he's getting. Here's the spot with the throne. Ooh, yeah. I think the armrest may have gotten him in the ribcage. Yeah. So now he's choking Bret out with the scepter. Bret, he's getting killed here. I remember being so pissed at Lawler when I saw this the first time. But Lawler was always a great heel, you know, and he was never a serious heel in WWE like he would have been somewhere else, but he did know how to be a great heel. So again, nobody is helping Bret. No one is trying to break this up here. Lawler's back on the mic. Now he's gonna let Bret kiss his royal feet. This is where I think he gives him a stiff boot to the face. There we go. There it is. Kicks him right in the face. Bret is splattered on the stairs, the staircase leading up to the platform. He's just sprawled out here. And he's demanding the smashed-in crown. And there it is. After everything he went through, this is how Bret's night ends here at the King of the Ring. And that's it. That is your King of the Ring 1993. Bret Hart survived all that just to be laid out by Jerry the King Lawler. And so began what ended up being, at least I think it was like 2.5 years. 2.5 year long, and they got away from it for a while, but basically a 2-year feud between these two men. Several matches. The Kiss My Foot match was kind of their final match, but then Lawler went and brought in his evil dentist, so the feud continued for a few more months. But as far as the aftermath of the show is concerned, you know, again, I mentioned Hogan leaving not immediately after, but shortly thereafter. Hogan was gone from the company. We also had the end of The Narcissist. And Lex Luger had been brought into the company earlier that year as a heel character. And when Vince McMahon realized that he was losing Hulk Hogan, he wanted to create the next Hulk Hogan. So overnight, like the flip of a switch, right? This pay-per-view happened in mid-June. And Luger was in the tournament wrestling Tatanka as a heel, right? He had the loaded forearm with the plate in his arm from the motorcycle accident. He was a heel. He was a heel. A few weeks later, he shows up on the Intrepid after landing on the helipad, and he body slams, or as Bobby Heenan said, hip tossed, Yokozuna on the Intrepid. And so they gave birth to this brand new babyface, all-American, you know, white meat character. And they put him on a bus for 6 weeks, and he traveled the country, and he went all the way to SummerSlam to challenge for the championship, and then he didn't win the title. And that was the end of Lex Luger. That was the night that Lex Luger died in the WWF. And he never recovered from that. But whether he would have won the championship or not, he was never going to be Hogan. He did not have what Hogan had. He did not have the charisma that Hogan had. Hogan just had that intangible that worked so well. And frankly, I think it was also just a product of that era. I think it was a product of that era, the all-American babyface. You had people like Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter and G.I. Joe, and back in the mid-'80s and the late 80s. And you know, the bringing the evil foreign heels from Russia, from Iran, and then later on it was Iraq. It was just a different time, you know. Wrestling and the world had gotten away from that, and those characters were not going to work as well as they did. It was a product of their era. Vince tried to create the new all-American babyface. That's not who Luger was, and Luger hated doing it. That's not who he was. So it was a complete failure. But that was the aftermath of this show. Came babyface Lex Luger. As far as Bret for the rest of the year, again, he wrestled Luger and Doink on the SummerSlam show. He's going to wrestle Lawler, I should say. Lawler faked an injury, so he wrestled Lawler's court jester, Doink the Clown. Actually had a pretty good match. And then we found out Lawler was faking the injury, so Bret wrestled twice on that show. Man, Bret wrestled 3 times on this pay-per-view, and then the very next pay-per-view, he wrestled twice. I just realized that. Later in the year is when they kick-started the Bret and the Owen sibling rivalry. They had the big Survivor Series match in '93 with Shawn Michaels and the Knights. It was supposed to be Lawler. Lawler got fired. He got brought back a few months later. So that was the rest of the year for Bret. In Vince's mind, it was full steam ahead for Lex Luger. We won't put the belt on him at SummerSlam because we're going to save it for We're going to save it for WrestleMania. We're going to save it for Madison Square Garden. And then came the Royal Rumble in '94, and they did the double elimination finish, and they did the thing where, oh well, one referee says Luger won, and the crowd cheered, but like there was a lot of boos in there, and then the other referee said, no, Bret won, and everybody cheered, and it was clear at that point the fans had made their choice, who they wanted to see on top. And that played a role in ultimately the decision to build this whole new generation era in '94 around Bret and go in a different direction. And Luger was relegated basically to the mid-card, in the upper mid-card at that point. So Bret ended up, you know, back on top, but took a little bit of time for him to get there. And as far as the King of the Ring pay-per-view is concerned, Vince McMahon discontinued the King of the Ring after the 2002 show. They have held 6 King of the Ring tournaments since then, in the years since. They came close to bringing it back as a pay-per-view last month. Remember, Saudi Arabia was going to be the King and Queen of the Ring before they ended up changing it to Night of Champions. So who knows when or if we'll ever get the King of the Ring back as an actual pay-per-view. But I enjoyed it when they did it this way. I enjoyed it when they did pretty much the entire tournament in one night. I don't know that they could ever tell a better story doing it than they did here on this '93 show with Bret. It was just a perfectly booked tournament. There really isn't anything I would change about it. And again, there's a reason why it is one of my all-time favorite shows. Very much enjoyed going back and reliving it with you. Daddy Ugarte in the chat says Luger spoiled the result. He did not. That is an urban legend. Luger did not spoil it. There's always been stories about Luger before WrestleMania getting drunk in a bar or at a restaurant and telling stories and spoiling that he was going to win the belt. Luger was never winning the belt. That is an urban legend. That is a myth. So that did not happen. The decision had already been made, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working for old Lex over there. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this watch along. Luger was the first Cody. Luger was the first Cody, or is Cody the second Luger? I guess we'll find out. But I hope you enjoyed this watch along. This was a lot of fun. I don't know when the next one will be. I'll start going through some past shows and anniversaries that may or may not be coming up, and we'll try to do another one of these real soon. Everybody who gifted a membership, I want to say thank you to you guys. I want to say thank you to Bobbert and M. Mills and everybody who dropped a super chat here during the stream. I appreciate that very much. I'm going to be live with you on the channel tomorrow night after AEW Dynamite, where I'm sure we're going to get more build for Forbidden Door. There may be some more news about Collision as well, which is coming up this weekend. After tomorrow night, the next time I will be live with you will not be Friday. I won't be here, but Saturday night is the debut of AEW Collision. It is the return of CM Punk, and that is when I will be live with you again. After Dynamite, we go right to Collision on Saturday, and then, of course, episode 813 of the Solomonster sounds off. Each and every Sunday. Coming up this Sunday, it's going to be Father's Day, so happy early Father's Day to all the dads out there. I'm going to get out of here. I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. Until next time, be well, stay safe, keep watching the classics because there's nothing like it. And I'll see you back here on the channel for the Dynamite review tomorrow night.